Okay, so anyway, thank you po sa pag-iimbita ho dito sa inyong forum. At alam niyo po, nung nalaman ko na bibigyan ako ng pagkakataon magsalita dito sa Siliman University, talagang sinadya ko po pumunta dito, galing pa ng Metro Manila this morning. Dahil talagang hangang-hanga po ako sa inyong napakagandang eskwelahan. At hindi lang magandang eskwelahan, napakadami po ng graduate ko na magagaling dito po sa Siliman University. Gusto ko po pasalamatan ng ating organizer, si Mr. J.B. Pespicio, ang president po ng Kaakbay Youth. At of course, sa ating magaling na president is President Ben Malaya. Okay, si Dr. Ben, pero wala siya ngayon. Anyways, binigyan po ako ng pagkakataon para po maipamahagi sa inyo, ma-share ko yung experience namin sa good governance sa Valenzuela. At siguro bago tayo mag-umpisa, next slide please, gusto ko ipakilala muna sa inyo ang Valenzuela. Okay, ang Valenzuela ay parte ng Metro Manila. Meron kaming 4,400 hectares. Ang population ng Valenzuela is 645,000. Meron kaming 32 barangays, 2 congressional districts, at meron kaming budget ng Valenzuela is almost 2 billion pesos a year. Yan. Siguro hindi nyo masyadong kabisado kung nasaan ang Valenzuela, pero kilala nyo ba si Sherwin Soledad? Sino nga nakakilala kay Sherwin? Siya po ay isa sa aming konsehal sa Valenzuela. At meron pa kaming isang konsehal na si Catherine, no, na artista rin. Si Chari Pineda. Kilala niyo ba po yun? Chari pala. Sorry. Chari Pineda. Kilala niyo ba yun? Yun. Isa rin yan sa konsehal namin. Marami kaming mga artista sa Valenzuela. Anyways, next slide. Ang mission ng Valenzuela is service excellence. Next. Our vision is a world-class city. Next. Our values is integrity. Go ahead. So gusto ko lang sa inyong i-share, no, yung mga proyekto namin sa good governance. At pareho kami ng mga estudyante. Alam nyo, yung mga bayan, no, at syudad dito sa ating bansa, ay meron rin, binibigyan din kami ng grado at grades. No? Gine-grade rin kami. No? May mga magagaling, may medyo magaling, at may mga syudad din na dapat mag-improve. No? So, sa larangan ng local government, next slide, meron kami tinatawag na LGPMS. Ito yung pag-grade sa amin. No? At next slide. At noong 2010, ang Valenzuela ay ng number 1, no, sa LGPMS, di ba? Di ba bongga? Bongga, di ba? So, LGPMS, merong iba't ibang mga criteria yan, and one of which is the economic governance. Yun ang gusto kong i-focus ngayon. Yung ginawa namin mga reforma para maging business-friendly kami, at dumami yung mga nagne-negosyo sa aming syudad. Okay, next slide. So this is the economic governance, the Valenzuela experience. Next slide, please. So ito yung mga reforma na ginawa namin sa Valenzuela. Alam nyo, nung pagpasok po noong 2004, ang local government ng Valenzuela ay hindi siguro nakakaiba sa mga ibang local government. Medyo magulo, no? Bureaucratic. At pag pumunta ka doon, hindi mo alam kung sino kakausapin, no? Para magkakuha ng mga permits at makipag-transact sa gobyerno. So, we instituted several reforms. And the number 1 reform that we did is to eliminate graft and corruption. But to eliminate graft and corruption, we also instituted a lot of culture-building efforts. No? Number 1 is leadership by example. Alam niyo ba, napanood niyo ba yung Spider-Man? Ano yung Spider-Man? Ano yung quote, ano yung famous quote ng, sa Spider-Man? With great powers comes with responsibility. No? At being a leader, no, part of your responsibility is to be good example to your constituents. Napakadaling sabihin to, no? Leadership by example, but napakahirap gawin pag nandiyan ka na dahil ang binibigay sa, lalo na pag ang nasa paligid mo ay mga supporters mo, minsan hindi sinasabi sa iyo yung totoong nangyayari. No? But at all times, no, it's very important to lead by example, to institute change, true change, it has to start from the top. Feedback mechanism from the public. Alam nyo, madalas sabihin na, yan si Mayor, no? Madaling lapitan, pero mahirap hanapin. Diba? Madaling, ewan ko, naririnig niyo. But, napakahalaga na pakinggan natin ang mamamayan natin, no? Pakinggan natin yung mga bumoboto sa atin. At ngayon, alam nyo ngayon, sa panahon nito, hindi naman kapag physical na umaharap ka sa tao. Marami ng mga bagong teknolohiya na pwede tayong gamitin, no? Facebook, Twitter, email. Sa Valenzuela, yun ang ginagamit namin. May Facebook kami, may Twitter kami, at ako mismo nagbabasa ng email. Meron din kaming ginawang tinatawag nating ethics board. No? Itong board na ito, ay ginawa namin para maging independent. No? Dahil pag maraming mga empleyado kami na nagkakamali, no? Lalong-lalo na sa graft and corruption, meron kaming independent board na nag-iimbestiga sa kanila. Napakahalaga na ma-isolate, no, ang City Hall sa politika. So itong board namin ang gumagawa ng investigation at sila na rin nagre-recommend kung anong dapat gawin sa aming mga empleyado. Politics versus performance. Alam nyo, napansin ko, no, pag lalo na ako, galing ako sa private sector. At sa private sector, napakahalaga yung performance. Di ba? Pag ikaw ay kinuha, no, at mag-manage ng isang organization, napakahalaga yung profit and loss. Sa City Hall, minsan, nawawala yung objective natin dahil sa politika. Kaya napakahalaga, no? Ilagay natin ang politika sa isang tabi, performance muna ang gawin natin dahil at the end of the day, yan ang hinahanap ng tao. At of course, professionalism in City Hall. No? Alam nyo, isa sa mga ginawa kong reforma sa City Hall pagpasok namin ay mag-uniforme yung mga tao sa City Hall. Dahil uso-uso sa amin, naka-rubber shoes, no, naka-maong. Pagpasok mo sa City Hall, di mo alam kung sino kakausapin dahil lahat sila minsan naka-t-shirt lang. No? So professionalism is very important. No? The image of City Hall is very important, especially when you want to bring back confidence to the local government. Alright, next slide. At binago rin namin yung work environment. Yung picture na yan po ang aming City Hall. If you can see, puro transparent. Wala kaming walls, no? Puro glass ang aming pader. At nakikita mo kung anong pinagagawa ng mga empleyado sa loob ng opisina. So, pag nagbabasa sila ng comics, nakikita namin. Kung nagpe-Facebook, nakikita namin sila. So, huling-huli. No? And it gives the impression and gives the we want to show to our constituents that the local government of Valenzuela is transparent in all its dealings with our constituents. So, the glass wall, no, ang tawag namin dyan, gives it the impression of transparency to our constituents. And gumawa rin kami, no, yung City Hall namin, very conducive to our employees. Alam nyo, kagaya dito sa Siliman, di ba? Dahil ang ganda ng inyong campus, nakakagana mag-aral, no? Ginaganahan ba kayo? Nag-aaral ba kayo? Hindi. No? Di ba nakakagana mag-aral? Ganun din sa mga employees, no? Kung maganda yung office, ginaganahan din yung mga empleyado natin magtrabaho. Right? Next slide. At meron din kaming ginawang programa, tawag namin 3S, no? At 3S stands for Simple, Speed, and Service. Yung simple, no? Ginawa namin simple yung mga prerequisites at requirements sa pag-a-apply ng negosyo sa Valenzuela. So if you transact with the local government of Valenzuela, we made it very, very simple to transact with the local government. Go ahead. Nung una, ito yung number of prerequisites, no? Merong 7 sa new businesses, as almost 10, no, sa renewal of businesses. With our new system, ginawa nilang namin 3 for new business and 3 for the renewal of new businesses. Go ahead. Speed naman, no? We use information technology to automate our processes. Alam niyo, ang information technology is the wave of the future. At lahat ng transaction ng gobyerno ay magiging automated na. Kaya sa local government of Valenzuela, inunahan na namin to. All of our treasury system, our backroom operations, are all automated. Go ahead. At gumagamit din kami ng graphical information system. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng Valenzuela ay nasa satellite na ngayon. So alam namin kung nasaan yung kumbaga nakikita namin sa taas, no? From above kung anong itsura ng Valenzuela. Go ahead. And meron rin kami online billing, no? And you can also pay through your cell phone. Okay. Go ahead. At because of automation, yung usual na 10 steps mag-a-apply, go ahead, ay ngayon, 4 na lang. Dahil automated na kami lahat. At yung pangatlong S ay service. Ito yung siguro pinakamahalaga. No? We don't only use technology, but we also have to improve the human side of our local government. So we built a culture of service in City Hall. We treat our taxpayers as customers. So, pag pumupunta sa amin, ang trato namin sa aming mga taxpayer, customers sila. No? At we give them the best possible experience and service in City Hall. Of course, napakahalaga yung training ng aming mga employees. So, we have continuous training, especially to our frontliners. Ang training namin not only in government procedures, but also in customer service. And best practices. Alam niyo, napakadaming magagaling na best practices all over the country. In fact, in Bayes nga, magaling yung mga sistema doon at hindi kami nahihiyang gumaya. So, we go around the country, we copy some of the best practices, improve some of the best practices, and implement it in Valenzuela. Right, siyempre, pinakamahalaga dito kung ano yung nagawa natin, di ba? Kung ano yung result ng nagawa natin. Everything boils down to numbers. So, because of these reforms that we did, in 2004, we have 6,000 businesses. In 2011, we have 13,000 businesses. Right? That's an 86.9% increase over the last 10 years. Okay? Or a 10% increase year in year. Go ahead. Sa income naman namin sa aming businesses, when we came in, we were only collecting 250 million. By 2012, we'll be collecting 679 million. Go ahead. That's a 170% increase over the last 9 years, or that's an 18% increase year on year. And sa real estate income naman, dahil dalawang aming sources of local income. The other one is our real property tax collection. When we came in, we only collected 139 million. By 2012, we will be collecting 396 million. So that's almost 184 increase in the last 9 years, or a 20% increase year on year. In total income naman, no, this is income of the entire city of Valenzuela. In 2004, we were collecting 1 billion. By 2012, we were collecting 2 billion. That's a 100% increase over the last 8 years. And a 11.1 increase year on year. So, at the end of the day, ito yung pinakamahalaga, no? Na i-improve ba yung performance ng ating local government. And siguro this is the ultimate proof that all these reforms that we have been doing in the last 9 years is rewarding us through our efficient collection. Like I said, no, the reforms that we did in Valenzuela, we use information technology. No? Ito, pinakamahalaga. Gumamit tayo ng mga bagong teknolohiya. We also reformed the human side of technology by instituting professionalism, by building a culture of service within our organization, and of course, integrity, eliminating graft and corruption. Go ahead. Because of this 3S program, we have managed to increase revenue. We can now invest in education. We can now invest in peace and order. We can now invest in health and wellness. We can now invest in good governance, infrastructure, community development, shelter, and external services. Go ahead. In short, in summary, in Valenzuela, we practice what we call the TAPAC, good governance. Letter T is for transparency. A, ability to lead by example. Letter B, practical. Maraming mga solutions practical. At maraming mga solutions pwede natin gawin by listening to our constituents. PA is participatory. We have to listen. We have to communicate with our constituents. A lot of the, to know the real problems per city, we have to listen to our different stakeholders. And letter T is timely response. Because we listen, we also have to respond. Wala namang mangyayari siguro kung nakikinig tayo pero wala naman action. So it's very important we also respond timely. These are our achievements, no? In the city of Valenzuela. In 2012, we were awarded as the most business-friendly LGU in the country. Di ba bongga yan? And in 2011, yours truly was awarded 10 Outstanding Young Men for public service. And our other achievements, we were also nominated in the Galing Pool. We were also awarded as 2011 LGU Luminary by Meralco, and the rest. Alright, thank you very much.
Kababayihan, kalalikihan, katigulangan, and kabatanunan. It's supposed to, it is creating programs that makes the young aware not only of their rights, but of their role in the community. And their role in the sense that even the career choices that they make also takes part in community building. So we are, I guess from our perspective, to contrast what is existing now in Valenzuela, as Sherwin has mentioned earlier, the League of Cities has this culture of learning from each other. So what we are doing before the city becomes highly urbanized or has similar complex problems, before it happens to our city, we are doing proactive, preparatory programs to minimize the eventual change in the culture of the city. So,
just to add lang, all of you will be doing projects or will be joining different advocacies. Now, my tip is to join an advocacy that will really make change in your own locality. Kanya-kanyang locality, iba-ibang problema. So, what is relevant and important to your locality? Participate in that. Dahil marami kasi sa mga SK, aminin na natin, marami parating pa-basketball, miss game, miss ganito, miss ganyan. At hindi naman nasasayang lang yung pera. So, make sure that you join an advocacy that is life-changing in your locality.
Thank you. Any more questions? Our organizing committee here will distribute index cards for those who are shy to ask the questions personally. Okay. Do you have a question?
Good afternoon, sir. I am Rinjud C. Escanio, the SKMF President of Isulan, Sultan Kudarat. As an SKMF President, sir, what are the programs that I can initiate in our municipality that for the youth, sir, so that we can also help our municipality to progress just like our city, sir?
What's your city again? Sultan Kudarat?
Isulan, sir. Municipality of Isulan, province of Sultan.
Well, in your region, in your area, the most relevant discussion right now is really the peace process. And I can see from the office of the peace process that they're trying to bring down all the way to the grassroots level the understanding of the peace process. Siguro ang tip ko lang sa inyo, since you're part of the SK, is to really understand what's happening regarding this peace process and para maintindihan din mga kabataan doon. I'm sure you understand compared to the most of us, but I think it's also worthwhile helping the government push their program all the way down to the grassroots. Again, try to figure out what's relevant for your locality, kung ano yung mga importante sa locality nyo to, at doon kayo tumulong para nagiging na-appreciate ng tao yung mga proyektong ginagawa ninyo.
Thank you very much, sir. But, sir, for your information, Isulan is a very peaceful place, sir.
Okay. I'm sure.
Any other questions? Yes, the guy in gray.
Terus na nagka-connect, ano ka na, this process, na peaceful, ano ka nangyari.
Mayor, good afternoon. I'm James from Gatchalian sa Over the last 5 years or so, we've seen how climate change has affected the Philippines. Usually, di ba, we usually hear Metro Manila getting flooded because of typhoons. What are your programs, or have you implemented programs for risk reduction or stuff like that in order na yung Valenzuela City in the future won't be as affected as it was before? And what can you suggest for other cities, especially ngayon na like usually, di ba, Mindanao is not being hit, but lately for 2 years in a row, there's 2 super typhoons that passed Mindanao. So what can you suggest, sorry for the lack of better term, from Valenzuela as an experienced city when it comes to these calamities, to those cities who are inexperienced? What are the programs that you could suggest?
Siguro I'll give my experience. We had our fair share of big calamities. The first one is Undoy. The second one is this year in Habagat. And in Habagat, 40% of our land area was submerged underwater. So, ang ginawa namin sa Valenzuela, because before they were saying yung Undoy, was the last Undoy was 50 years ago. So, ini-expect namin na okay lang, next Undoy, next 50 years mangyayari ulit. Wala pang 3 years nangyari na yung Habagat, di ba? So, climate change is here. I have to tell you, and this is my honest observation, that climate change is here and it's for real. So we have to be ready. And when they say ready, it's not only the mayors, the barangay captains, the SK, the government official who should be ready. The entire community should be ready. So in Valenzuela, we're now empowering our community, training them, especially those 40% na lumubog sa tubig, and telling them na, look, dapat mabilis din kayong mag-respond. Don't rely on rescue. Pag sinabi kasi disaster preparation, tinitignan lang si Mayor, dapat Mayor, rescuein mo kami pag bumaba. No, it's not like that. Pag sinabi natin disaster preparedness, tayo lahat should be prepared. So we should have the right training, we should have the right equipment, we should know where to go. Kung may earthquake, alam natin saan pupunta. Kung may baha, alam natin saan pupunta. Basic things like a flashlight, things like a little floating device in your city, in your house. Kung binabaha kayo, dapat may mga maliliit kayong mga floating devices para kung mangyari yan, you can save yourself, and not wait for your kapitan or for your mayor to go there and save you. Dahil, if things really goes bad, the government cannot save each and every one of us. That's how we deal with disaster preparedness and climate change. Maybe we can hear from Mayor Cara naman.
Well, yeah. Again, in contrast, because Valenzuela is already very crowded. But for cities like Bais and Pagadian, we've been there actually. And there's so much room for development, even at the developed stage that Pagadian is in right now. And I believe it's the same for predominantly most, if not most of the cities and municipalities. In the city government of Bais, what we are doing is I personally actually sat down with environmental experts to look at the carrying capacity of the city. Not only the carrying capacity of the base of how much fishes it can, hold to sustain life, how many forest land we should replant, how many land conversions we can do for subdivisions, how much land can we convert, okay pa? Am I saying making sense to you? How much of our land can we convert into commercial use? We need to, we need to look at the total carrying capacity of the entire ecosystem, jointly linked together. That is the role of government. Ideally, that is what government should do. Before you convert a land to housing, to industrial, what ripple effects will it cause on the environment, on even in culture and social dynamics and climate, as you pointed out. And when I say ripple effects, probably, ideally, government should look at the effects not only in the mere 10 years or 20 years. I have a very crazy way of looking at things from a 100-year perspective. Because the tragedy that happened in Cagayan and Iligan did not happen overnight. It was not the lack of foresight or the negligence of the mayor or whoever held power 20, 30 years before, but 50, 70 years before. Because you would see families who's been living there for generations already. And I guess to connect it to the youth, maybe say us. Ka-age pa naman kami ninyo, di ba? Matanda na raw siya. Sige, ako na lang. What do you call this? Especially us who are in universities, in the learning institutions. And probably some of our friends are taking, or you know, I don't know, how do you diplomatically say it? Some of us are learning a lot, especially those involved in sciences. We can actually link it up with the SKs to contribute. I'm sorry if your mayor's not paying attention to this. May I be honest? May I be honest? There are really some mayors who are not paying attention to these things. And you have to wait for the next election for you to have the opportunity to change it to somebody who has the foresight to look at these things, to look at not only their generation, but your generation and your children's generation as well. How do you make sure that you have action now? This is where SK can play a role. This is where you, even if you're not SK officials or kagawas or whatever, this is where you can take part by sitting down with your SK, probably briefing them up about it, and giving them something to stand on when they do go to their meetings, to their council meetings, and truly make a representation of the youth and the concerns that you have. I guess.
All right. Hi, Ruth. There are questions from the audience. There are a couple of questions here, but we're going to read the questions na mayroong pangalan ng nagtatanong. Okay. The first question is, ako po si Juana Change. Ayaw po ni Pinoy ng EPAL at ni Jesse Robredo. Nakita ko po ang mga EPAL posters ninyo sa labas. Pakipaliwanag po ang pagtingin ninyo sa EPAL.
Actually, kasabay ko sa aeroplano kanina si Juana Change. Buti nga kasama ko si Mayor Karen din para may kasama kaming EPAL. No, but alam niyo, I've been asked this question many times. Many times. And you also have to you put yourself, dapat ilagay niyo rin yung sarili niyo sa posisyon ng mga public servants na katulad namin. I remember noong 2004, pumasok ako sa serbisyo pang publiko. Hindi ko sinasabi sa mga tao kung ano yung mga proyekto na ginagawa natin. Basta gawa lang kami ng gawa. And after 3 years, nung nagpa-survey kami, nagulat ako dahil lumabas sa survey namin, ang tao hindi alam kung anong ginagawa namin. Dahil siyempre kayo, natanungin ko kayo ngayon. So sobrang busy nyo sa school ngayon. Alam niyo ba kung anong ginagawa ng mayor ninyo ng mga proyekto sa inyong mga lugar? Alam niyo ba kung anong ginagawa ng inyong konsyal, vice mayor? Diba? Siyempre, hindi nyo rin malaman dahil busy kayo. At karamihan ng mga tao natin, busy sa pagtatrabaho at sa pag-aaral. So, mahalaga rin na nalalaman din ng tao kung saan pumupunta yung mga buwis, no? Yung mga tax na binabayad nila. At mahalaga rin malaman nila na yung binabayad nila ay bumabalik rin sa kanila, di ba? Dahil sayang naman kung hindi nyo malalaman yan. So, kaya sa mga katulad namin, dinalagay namin yung mga pangalan namin. I have to admit, hindi ko sinasabi na hindi ko ginagawa. Ginagawa ko rin yan para malaman ng tao, no, kung saan pumupunta yung mga proyekto at yung pera na binabayad nila. Pag inaamin ko rin, meron rin mga super epal. No? So, i-categorize natin, siguro may epal, may super epal. Yung super epal siguro, yung 70% ng poster, mukha niya na. No? Or 80% ng poster, mukha niya. Meron rin ganun. Sa amin naman, hindi naman gano'n. Siguro we put our name, baka minsan mukha, depende. And especially sa mga greetings, kung may mga kukuha ng board exam dito, nung usong-uso yung, Mayor, pakigreet naman yung anak namin. No, Mayor, naging number 1 sa bar yung aking anak. Nag-number 1 sa civil engineering course. No? Number 1 sa electrical engineering board course. Sila rin humingi. And we have to put, ang gusto nila pa talaga may pangalan. No? This is something of a, parang proud sila, no? Na yung kanilang mga anak ay natapos at pumasa ng board. So, that's my perspective, no? in this whole EPAL issue. Si Mayor Karen, meron din. Ewan ko kung EPAL ko. Pero,
Let's go with what you said.
Do we have any more questions?
Hi Ruth, one last question from the audience before we end. The question is, do you have plans to bring your success in Venezuela to the national level? From Charles.
Sir?
Actually, coincidentally, I visited Professor Briones one time to ask for her help. Si Professor Briones is one of the best economists here in our country, and I seek her advice on how to plan, no, for the growth of Valenzuela. I believe that Valenzuela is reaching a saturation point. Pag napunta kayo sa syudad namin, talagang medyo masikip na. No? So we want to plan ahead. Ito mga reforma na ito na pinakita ko, no, leadership by example, culture building. What's good, what's happening in our country right now, and what's good here in our country right now is we are seeing true reform starting from the top. No? I have to commend President Aquino for really leading by example and really bringing down true reform all the way down, no, to the barangay level. Hindi pa perfect, no? Hindi naman niya magagawa yan siguro in 1 term, hindi pa nga kaya in 2 terms. Pag naumpisahan na, no, yun ang pinakamahalaga dito. At nakikita natin, no? Natutuwa ako doon kasi ako bilang public servant, nakikita ko na yung reforma bumababa talaga, no, sa aming lahat. At least kami mga, I guess, pwede namin tawagin sarili namin mga newer or younger public servants, nakikita namin na meron pa palang hope, no, dito sa bansa natin. No? Meron pa palang pag-asa, no, na nakikita tayo. Lalo kaming ginaganahan magtrabaho at ginaganahan rin na suportahan yung reforma ng ating presidente.
Thank you. We'll now proceed. Yes, last question. Okay, we'll go with the last question.
Hello. Last question po, Mayor and Mayor. Single po kayo, diba? Single po kayong dalawa? Oo. Single po kayong dalawa? Ikaw po, ma'am?
Single po yan.
Oo.
Sa alam ko, baka di na, pero sa alam ko.
Oo. Tayo magkakaanak din ka, in the future,
May RH din na tayo ngayon, kaya pwede na mag-family planning.
boss and madam, in the future, syempre magkakaroon kayo ng pamilya. And okay po ba kayo sa, kung papatakbuhin po ba ninyo yung mga anak nyo, like kayo, as mayors and all, in short, pro or anti po kayo sa political dynasty? Yung para sa inyo na po, kasi kung sa akin, okay lang naman po yung sa akin.
Professor Brianas, natutuwa sa na but I have to admit, I'll be transparent to all of you. My brother is a congressman in the city of Valenzuela at meron din ako isang kapatid na tumakbong party list at siya ay nakupong party list congressman in Bulacan naman. So, at the end of the day, ito na-experience ko, no? At the end of the day, ang botante hinahanap yung performance ng inyong binoto. No? Alam nyo, yun ang importante sa ating lahat. Ako, botante rin ako. Yun ang hinahanap ko sa mga public servants sa atin. Ano ba yung nagawa mo? No? Ano ba yung pinramis mo sa amin na ginawa mo? At kaya nga nasabi ko kanina, we have to separate politics and performance. Dahil these are two different animals. And in my experience, what's very important to the people is really your performance. No, kahit ano pang gawin mo mamulitika, kahit puntahan mo pa lahat ng KBL, kasal, binyag, libing. No? Kung wala kang nagawa, wala kang talagang magagawa, hindi ka iboboto ng tao. No? So, in short, it also goes the same with our siblings, diba? Yung mga kapatid namin. No? Kung yung kapatid ko walang nagawa, wala rin, hindi rin siya iboboto ng tao. The power of voting is in your hands. Nasa kamay niyo yan. No? Nasa kamay niyo kung sino gusto niyong iboto o hindi. No? Hindi po sa amin yan. Pwede kaming kumanta, sumayaw, mag-Gangnam Style sa harap niyo, pero pag hindi niyo kami iboboto, walang sample. Ha? Walang mangyayari sa amin. Si Karen na lang. Siguro we can hear Mayor Karen.
Pinasa na sa akin. Yeah, okay. I'm actually the 5th generation of politicians. I come from a long line of politicians. In fact, the first senator of the Visayas was great-grand-uncle. Of course, I am with you. I am with you. Not because I belong to a family who has been in service for quite a time already, but I have seen other families as well who has served their respective constituency as parang nagiging ano siya what do you call it? Parang nagiging parang nagiging obligasyon na ipatuloy na to serve the people in that respective locality. But we have seen also families on the national level who did quite well, like the Aquinos, the Laurels, sino ba? Cayetanos, Magsaysay, yes, correct. As Sherwin has said, the power to put people in position is actually in the hands of the citizens. So it is the call of the citizens if this particular line, ganun ba? Okay lang ba? Parang olden times. This particular ancestry, this particular family has been serving well. Have they delivered on their promises? How they actually uplifted the quality of lives in that locality. I believe we should look more on performance because it would also be unfair. Not because I am, again, a 5th generation of public servants, but it would also be unfair to withhold the capacity to serve from an individual who clearly has the capabilities simply because he came from an ancestry that has long served the community. Diba? It's sometimes, in my mind, for me, diba, there are families of doctors that they're compelled to become doctors as well because their fathers and their forefathers have been doctors. There's also a line of policemen kasi lolo nila, so they are also compelled to do the same. If you will allow me to take you back on an incident with myself and my father, on my first entry of politics, ito kakatuwa talaga. The first time I ran for an office was as a councillor. When I won, we were minority. There was only 3 of us. He was the mayor then. My father was a mayor before. Tatlo kami. So no matter how good the speech I gave in the city council, when the voting time comes, patay talaga. And it did not matter what language I would use, if it's English or Bisaya or Tagalog or Chinese or Spanish. At the end of the day, it just redounded to the number of hands that would be raised to vote on a particular ordinance or a program. So after that first year, I got So personally, I was really depressed and I frustrated. I went up to my dad and said, I did not go to school for 4 years. No, actually, for 5 years. Just to probably end up in a hospital with a heart problem. Kasi dinidibdib ko masyado eh. And I said, my friends are earning more than I am and blah, 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 blah. And said, I think I'm going to quit. I'm just going to resign. My father said, well, Karen, I cannot force you what to do. It's your life. It's your decision. But this is what I'd like you to think about. You have been blessed. You have not been found wanting for much. Your father and your father's father and your father's grandfathers has served the city. What will you tell your Creator when you face Him? So sometimes it's just like that for us.